Rain pelted the canopy above like a million tiny drummers, and the forest floor breathed out misty tendrils that clung to Mira's boots. She plunged deeper into the shadows, clutching her satchel tight. Somewhere behind her, the wolves howled again. Or were those voices? Either way, she pressed on, heart thumping at the rhythm of her hurried feet. Lights! Just ahead, a flicker of gold among the wet ferns. Mira's curiosity warred with her fear. This wasn't any of the phosphorescent mosses she knew, nor the foxfire the village children whispered about. Instinct, not logic, tugged her onward. As she stepped into a clearing, her breath caught. Before her stood a colossal tree, its silver bark aglow with pulses of gentle light, each a heartbeat in the quiet night. Its roots radiated outward, gleaming like starlit rivers, winding around clusters of ancient standing stones. The air was thick with whispers, fragments of language too old to name. A hooded figure moved beneath the branches, chanting in a voice smoother than water over stone. Mira ducked behind a fallen log and peered out. She whispered, "Who are they? What is this place?" But the figure turned, their eyes pinning her with unnatural calm. "You heard the whispers, child? Few do. Most turn back." Mira swallowed, torn between running and stepping closer. I didn't mean to intrude. The lights led me here." "The lights," the figure echoed softly, "choose only those who must decide the fate of our world." Suddenly, thunder cracked. In that moment, another shadow darted along the edge of the clearing, a second figure, face obscured, hands wreathed in greenish flame. Even hidden behind the log, Mira felt the icy prickles of danger. The hooded figure's voice sharpened. "Stay back! The grove is not yours, sorcerer. Everything in the vale will be mine," the newcomer sneered. "Especially the heart of this tree." Mira's hands shook. She just wanted herbs for her sick mother. Now the entire forest, and perhaps more, waited on her next move. Mira barely dared to breathe, pressed close against the mossy log. Lightning revealed the sorcerer's pale, angular face twisted with triumph. Shadows spun from his fingertips, twisting in the wet air. The hooded figure, druid, Mira realized now, raised both hands, palms open. The glow of the tree brightened, casting shifting patterns across the clearing. "You will not harm this place," the druid intoned. "Not while I stand." The sorcerer snorted, green fire licking between his fingers. "You druids are all the same, clutching secrets that should be wielded." He stretched his arms wide, and roots writhed at the edge of the grove, wriggling as if in pain. Mira's heart hammered. Was it her imagination, or did the whispers grow louder, more frantic? She edged her hand into her satchel, feeling the familiar shapes of vials and dried plants. Her mind raced. What would a mere apothecary do against such power? "Enough posturing. Hadrian," the druid barked. "Leave now, or be bound." Hadrian grinned. "Bind me, let's see you try." Energy exploded between the two, shredded leaves and searing light. The tree pulsed brighter, pain and fury churning in its luminous core. Mira squinted, desperate. She spotted a half-buried stone etched with spiral runes beside her. It practically hummed beneath her touch. She heard her mother's voice in memory. "Trust the old ways, Mira. The plants, the stones, they listen if your heart is true." Steeling herself, Mira grasped the stone. Cold fire raced up her arm and the ground beneath her quivered. Both combatants stopped, the shout dying in Hadrian's throat as his gaze whipped toward Mira. "It's beginning," whispered the druid. "The grove chooses." Mira stood, stone blazing in her palm. Terrified, yes, but something powerful stirred in her chest. Hope. Hadrian stepped forward, hunger burning in his eyes. "Give that to me, girl. You do not understand its worth." Mira met his stare, voice trembling but fierce. "I may not, but I know you'll destroy everything. I can't let you have it." The grove's ancient whispers rose, swirling around Mira, pulling at her thoughts with gentle urgency. She clutched the stone tighter, resolve hardening. "Then you will lose far more than you know," Hadrian snarled, fire flaring in his hands, and the true battle began. The clearing erupted into chaos. Roots burst from the earth, lashing at Hadrian as searing green spells cracked through the air. Mira ducked as a blast of light scorched nearby ferns, the stone in her palm burning brighter the closer the danger edged. The druid called out, "Mira! The stone is a key! Listen to the grove!" Hadrian snarled, flinging a wave of shadow at the tree. The bark bruised purple, glowing veins dimming. Pain coiled through the ground, curling Mira's toes inside her boots. She fell to her knees, clutching her ears as the ancient voices in the grove rose to a fever pitch. Her thoughts tangled with images. The tree's roots snaking through time, the world outside withering to dust, her mother coughing in a moonlit room. "You want to save them, girl? Give me the stone!" Hadrian shouted, stalking forward as magic sizzled around his hands. "I can heal anything. I can make your family strong." Mira's voice shook, but her back straightened. "I don't believe you. You want the grove's magic for yourself." Hadrian scoffed. "Foolish child, the world will eat itself unless someone commands order. Only I." The druid's staff slammed into the earth between them, unleashing a burst of blue-white light. "Back, Hadrian! She is chosen, not you." A wall of living roots surged between Mira and the sorcerer, but Hadrian's power shoved back. For a heart-stopping moment, the two forces met, ancient earth against hungry sorcery, until the roots splintered, sending Mira tumbling backward at the foot of the luminous tree. She landed with the stone pressed to her chest. The whispers softened and began to form words she almost understood. Trust. Breathe. Let us in. Somewhere deep, Mira realized she didn't need to fight the grove. She needed to join with it. Heart-pounding, she shut her eyes and pressed the stone into the earth, letting the luminous energy pour through her. The world held its breath. A new, warm light began to ripple up the trunk of the ancient tree, chasing away the shadows. Hadrian shouted something, a curse or a warning, Mira couldn't tell, but she barely heard over the sudden thunderous harmony of the grove, unfurling its power with her as its conduit. The pulse of light from the tree flared, washing the clearing in a vivid, iridescent glow. Mira could feel the energy flowing through her, alive, ancient, and strangely familiar. Roots, grass, leaves, and stones themselves seemed to hum with purpose. Hadrian recoiled, shielding his eyes. "What trick is this?" he railed, voice cracking as if he suddenly feared what he faced. "You cannot control what you do not understand, girl." The druid stepped closer, voice resonant with awe. "She does not control. She listens. The grove chooses its own." With each heartbeat, Mira felt her fear give way to a fierce wonder. The voices whispered instructions, riddles half-spoken. "Remember your promise. Trust your hands. One cannot take from the earth, one must give." Mira slowly rose, her fingers brushing the luminous bark. She could see flashes of memory. Druids kneeling before the tree, pouring out drops of water, children planting seeds, healers guiding light with gentle hands. She gazed at Hadrian. "You only take. The tree will never answer you." His face twisted in rage. Flickers of sickly green cracked from his hands, lashing out. The druid called, "Mira! Step deeper! Let the grove shield you." Mira knelt, pressing both palms to the root-strewn ground. A warm current surged up her arms, interlacing her very soul with the living wood above. The roots surged up in a radiant barrier, weaving a shield around Mira, the druid, and the tree itself. Hadrian's spells fizzled, powerless against the grove's unity. Breathing hard, Mira turned to the druid. "Who are you? Why was I chosen?" The druid smiled, eyes shining with reflected light. "Names matter little, but you may call me Aerith. You were chosen because you hear. You care for the sick, tend what others trample. The grove remembers such hearts." Hadrian, however, was not finished. He retreated, ominous and livid. "This is not over," he warned, voice like thunder on the edge of a storm. "The grove's roots stretch far, and so does my reach." As the last echoes of his threat faded, Mira turned to Aerith. "What happens now?" "Now," Aerith said, "we begin the lessons. For Hadrian will return, and the grove's secrets are deeper than anyone knows." The threat in Hadrian's words echoed long after he was gone, swallowed by the hush of the ancient forest. Mira remained close to the luminous shield, feeling her heartbeat slow as the grove's warmth soothed her raw nerves. She looked at Aerith, questions swirling behind her eyes. Aerith crouched next to Mira, tracing delicate symbols in the soft earth between them. "This is the spiral of growth, our first lesson. The grove's power lives in rhythm, not rule. You must learn when to listen, when to act, and when to let go." Mira stared at the pattern. "But I'm just an apothecary. I heal small things, scrapes, fevers. I don't know the first thing about magic." Aerith smiled kindly. "Tending life is the oldest magic. The grove needs a guardian, not a conqueror." The grove hummed in agreement, gentle as a lullaby. Roots moved beneath Mira's palms, offering flashes of memories. Small hands planting seeds, laughter echoing between sunlit trunks, pain soothed with leaf and balm. Mira closed her eyes, letting the scenes wash over her. Gradually she began to feel the deeper language of the trees, not with words, but with feelings that ran like sap beneath her skin. "Watch," Aerith said. She pressed her own hand to the bark. Petals unfurled from a nearby branch, glowing softly. "Everything has a season, a moment for birth, for rest, for renewal. Our power is in knowing when to nurture and when to protect." Mira finished quietly, the realization settling in her chest. Aerith nodded. "Yes, Hadrian's magic is hunger. He'll come back with anger, and with others. He wants the grove's light for himself. You must stand ready, but never alone." Mira's courage flickered, stoked each time she touched the living roots. "Will the grove help me again?" "If your heart is true, we will help each other," Aerith said. "Together we are its hope. Now take this." She handed Mira a small vial filled with amber sap, for strength and memory. As night curled around them, Mira sat beneath the glowing boughs, practicing the lessons. For the first time she felt not like an intruder, but a part of something ancient, something worth saving. But beyond the grove, shadows gathered. Hadrian was plotting, and he would not fight fair. Mira knew the days ahead would test everything she believed. She sharpened her resolve like a blade. The next attack would not find her unprepared. Dawn mist curled over the grove, painting the roots in silver and pale gold. Mira awoke to Aerith's voice and the steady, companionable creak of ancient branches overhead. Fatigue clung to her bones, but resolve had blossomed anew inside her, stronger, steadier. Aerith led her through the labyrinth of roots, deeper into the grove, where wildflowers shimmered with otherworldly colors and stones were carved with stories of countless ages. "This is the oldest heartwood," Aerith said, reverence softening her words. "Here the grove remembers everything. If you wish to protect it, you must know its truth." Mira knelt, laying her hand against the gnarled trunk. Images tumbled through her mind. A time when druids danced in peace, the first spark of sickness that twisted men's hearts, even Hadrian's boyhood, lonely and cold as stone. She gasped, wrenched from the vision by the sudden, sharp hiss of sap. "Does Hadrian still have a connection to this place?" Mira asked, her voice troubled. Aerith's gaze grew distant. "He was one of us once, before his greed. The grove mourns every lost child." A gentle sadness tugged at Mira, but it was swept aside by a rush of warnings. The birds had fallen silent. The wind, too, stilled. Aerith looked up sharply. "Someone approaches." Mira's chest tightened. "Hadrian?" Aerith nodded. "With him others, creatures twisted by his magic." Almost on cue, unnatural shadows squirmed between the trees. Figures stalked at their edge, wolves with too many eyes, thorny goblins, a towering figure with bark for skin and hatred burning in its hollow gaze. Hadrian emerged behind them, staff burning with green fire. "You thought you could hide," he spat, "but the grove's light has made you careless." Aerith stepped forward, staff at the ready. "You were once a friend, Hadrian. There is still another path." He only laughed, bitter and sharp. "Choices are for the weak. I take what the world would deny." Mira drew a shaky breath, uncorking Aerith's vial. The sap glimmered, and she felt the grove's thousands of roots twine with her spirit. "We stand together," she called, louder than she felt. As Hadrian's horde surged, Mira stepped into the light of the tree, hands outstretched. For the first time, she did not feel small. She felt like the heart of the forest. And as the clearing filled with menace, she met the coming storm. Not with fear, but with the resolve of all who had come before. The forest shuddered as Hadrian's creatures descended. Mira's pulse pounded in her ears, but she held her ground, letting the grove's energy pour through her. Aerith was at her side, his staff sketching protective wards in the air. Hadrian sneered behind his monstrous army. "Do you really think old tricks and overgrown roots can stop me, Mira? You're just a child." Mira straightened, voice steady. "I am the grove's voice now. You've forgotten what that means." He laughed, a sound as cold as midnight. His mutant wolves lunged, thorns catching the light, followed by goblins chittering and swinging jagged weapons. Mira focused, remembering Aerith's lesson, give then guide. Roots exploded upward, gently trapping the wolves without crushing them. Flowers bloomed where their rage touched earth, sending calming pollen that dulled their snarls to whimpers. Aerith shielded them from slicing spells, his staff glowing with pure white light. "That's it, Mira. Let the grove heal, not just fight." One of the goblins hurled a burning vial. Mira knelt, hands splayed, channeling the grove's cool moisture. Water snaked from beneath the roots, hissing as it quenched the flames. The goblins scattered, confused and blinking. Hadrian's bark-skinned beast lumbered toward the luminous tree, swinging a root club. Mira saw a vision, its heartwood a memory of peace, trapped and twisted by Hadrian's curse. She sang, her voice ringing out like wind through leaves, "Remember who you are." The beast hesitated, its attack faltering. Aerith pressed his hand to Mira's shoulder, lending her his strength. Together, they called, "Return." For a moment, all was still. Then the bark-armored creature shuddered and crumbled, its monstrous shell falling away to reveal a trembling, bewildered forest stag. It bolted back into the wild. The other corrupted creatures, freed or calmed, retreated into the trees. Hadrian was alone now, face twisted in fury and disbelief. You can't do this! That magic was mine! Mira's voice was tired but sure. The grove's magic belongs to all who protect it, not just those who take. Hadrian's staff sparked dangerously. This is not the end, girl. You're in over your head. Aerith glanced at Mira. He'll try to break the grove's heart. The greatest test lies ahead. Mira nodded slowly, feeling the weight and wisdom of the forest flow through her veins. She would not let the grove or herself be broken. The quiet that followed was tense and fragile. Above, the luminous boughs swayed, but their light was muted, as if the grove itself was bracing for the final blow. Mira wiped sweat from her brow and turned to Aerith. If Hadrian means to break the grove's heart, what does that mean? Aerith's face was grave. The grove's heart is both a source and a shield. If he corrupts it, not only this place but every forest in the world will fall silent. The balance, life itself, could unravel. Mira's throat tightened. Then we have to protect it, no matter what. Aerith nodded. The grove called you because it's not magic that saves the heart, but connection. Courage born from love, not fear or power. Roots parted to reveal a hidden path spiraling downward. At Aerith's urging, Mira followed, feeling the ancient tree's pulse echoing through her feet. Stay watchful, Aerith whispered. Below, the grove's truth will test us both. They entered a vast chamber beneath the roots, where light bled from stone and living wood. In the center, a crystalline knot pulsed, the grove's heart. Its whispers were clearer here, rising and falling like song. There is no life without vulnerability. There is no power without kindness. Suddenly, shadows slithered along the edges. Hadrian, pale and ragged but unbowed, entered with a snarl. You led me straight here, you fools. Soon, all the world will beg for magic at my feet. He raised his staff, crackling with foul energy. The grove's heart flickered, its glow sickening. Aerith and Mira threw up their hands, drawing on the grove's protection. You can still stop, Mira called out. You don't have to destroy. Hadrian spat. You think you understand pain, girl? You know nothing of what I lost when they cast me out. His magic lashed the chamber, roots curling and blackening. The grove wailed in agony. Aerith strained to hold the shield. Mira, it's your heart the grove needs. Give of yourself. Remember the lessons. Mira's fear warred with desperation. Through the chaos, the grove's voices urged her to trust, to offer not force but forgiveness. Gritting her teeth, Mira stepped forward, lowering her own guard. Hadrian, the grove mourns for you. Don't let pain become poison. Let us heal together. The chamber trembled. Hadrian stared at her, bewildered, even as his magic blazed. Then, with a scream, he struck at the grove's heart. Roots and light exploded, and Mira's world fractured into a storm of blinding sorrow and impossible hope. Mira was thrown to the earth, the air buzzing with pain. Distantly, she heard Aerith call her name, but the forest's cries drowned everything else. The grove's heart flickered near darkness, cold, shuddering, its song now an aching wail. Hadrian stood over it, his staff sunk deep between the crystalline roots. It's over, Hadrian rasped, his voice trembling with triumph and grief. You think kindness is strength, Mira? The world only takes. He twisted his staff, and cracks spiderwebbed through the grove's heart. Aerith struggled to stand, voice strained and desperate. Mira, the grove's last hope is you. Listen. Don't fight him. Forgive. Remember who you are. Mira tasted blood, the metallic bite of defeat, but closed her eyes. She remembered her mother humming lullabies and the small wounds she'd healed back home. She remembered the stag's freedom, the strength that came not from power, but from care. The grove's ancient voices, so faint now, murmured, give instead of grasp. Heal instead of harm. Still on her knees, Mira reached out, not with magic, but with her heart. Hadrian, I see you're hurt. I see how alone you are. He hesitated, anger faltering for a heartbeat. The shadows around him flickered. You know nothing of me. I know what pain can do, but we can be more. Trembling, Mira touched the fractured heart. Warmth spread from her, her memories blooming into the broken roots. She offered everything, her hope, her forgiveness, her deepest fear that she wasn't enough, and her belief, fragile but true, that she was still worthy of love and trust. Light, feeble but pure, seeped into the cracks. The grove responded, roots pulsing with new energy. Aerith whispered, awed, "She's healing it," with compassion. Hadrian staggered back, uncertain. He gripped his staff, torn between a final blow and something impossible, remorse glimmering in his eyes. The chamber shook, bark splintered, the tree above groaned. All of life in the vale held its breath. Mira's body ached, her spirit nearly spent, but she pressed onward. If the grove can forgive you, so can I. Stay or go free, but don't let hate win. The heart's light grew, outshining the shadows. Hadrian's staff shuddered. Across the world, every leaf and creature felt the choice being made. But even as hope kindled, the damage was deep, the outcome uncertain. Mira teetered at the edge of collapse, locked with Hadrian and Aerith in the grove's trembling heart, where the fate of everything hung in the balance. Time seemed to slow in the chamber, each heartbeat echoing against the hollow silence. Mira's hands trembled against the grove's fractured heart, her energy flickering. She could feel Aerith's hope, the grove's pain, and Hadrian's torment all tangled in her chest, raw and exposed. Hadrian stared at Mira, his face twisted with years of anger and sorrow. The staff in his hands pulsed. One last choice. Why would you forgive me? After everything? His voice was hoarse, breaking beneath the weight of his own regret. Mira met his gaze, her determination soft but unyielding. Because you're part of this grove. Because we can't heal by breaking things apart. We heal together. The roots beneath Mira's knees bathed her in memories. A line of druids, one by one, choosing mercy over vengeance. The grove's own pain when harmony was broken. Her mother's frail hands squeezing hers, whispering, kindness is the strongest root. Aerith moved closer, staff lowered in peace. You were our brother once, Hadrian. We don't need another lost soul. Let the grove heal you. For a long, tearing moment, Hadrian's face crumpled. His fingers loosened on the staff. I don't know if I can. Gently, Mira continued to pour her memories, fears, and boundless hope into the roots. The grove's light, responding to the gift, surged into the cracks, each fracture knitting closed with gentle brilliance. The song rose, not just old words, but new notes, filled with forgiveness. Hadrian, tears tracking down his cheeks, finally released the staff. It fell to the floor, its magic fading into harmless dust. Help me, he whispered, broken. Mira reached out, clasping his shaking hand. You're not alone, not anymore. As Aerith joined them, the grove's heart pulsed, strong, bright, and whole once again. Light poured up through the tree, out into the forest, carrying a wave of healing across roots, leaves, and every creature. All the vale felt the peace, the deep rightness restored. Wind returned, branches whispered in harmony, vital and alive. Mira slumped into Aerith's arms, exhaustion giving way to relief. Is it over? She breathed. Aerith smiled through grateful tears. You did the impossible. You healed the grove and showed us a better way. Hadrian knelt, head bowed, a man broken and remade by compassion. I will spend my days mending what I damaged, if the grove and you will let me. Mira nodded, too tired to speak, but the grove's spirit wrapped around them all, sharing the promise. Forgiveness like roots can reclaim ravaged earth. When Mira finally left the grove days later, the forest was brighter. Her mother, recovering at home, wildflowers springing up where shadow once crept. She had been an apothecary with only hope in her bag. Now she was the grove's guardian, proof that even the smallest voice could change the fate of the world. And in the luminous twilight of the ancient wood, the grove whispered its gratitude, certain that kindness, forged in darkness, was the true magic to keep all things alive.